How are you getting on, folks? Look, I know I haven't been on for the past couple of days, but realistically, I'd say some of you are absolutely delighted. I was having an absolute stinker the last couple of days. Just safe to say, it just wasn't going right. And nothing really went to plan. Just going back through the last day, I was tipping, obviously looking back in the bridal brawler. Brawler was a faller. Um, some neck, unfortunately, he suffered a fatal injury, but the fact that he came to a complete stop and forfeited, you could say, 30 or 40 lengths to come so close as what he did, he had sort of wonder, had he not come to a complete stop, how far he would have won by. But credit where credit is due to the winner. It was an impressive winner at that. Young Ted obviously disappointed. um Magic Days didn't really show its true colors either, and Dysart Dynamo was the only winner we had at 7-4. But like, realistically, it wasn't a great day, it wasn't a great couple of days, but the batteries are recharged, and hopefully we're back on good terms again, and hopefully we're back banging in the winners left, right, and centre. But I'm going to be doing two meetings tomorrow. I'm going to be doing the Curragh and Down Royal. Obviously, look at Down Royal. I'd have more solid knowledge, more so than anything else, on the races. But I'm going to give it a crack with the Curragh as well, and we're going to hopefully get a few winners on the board. First race off, the 130 in the Curragh. Short enough price favourite in here for Gavin Cromwell. Was second last time out. You would sort of expect him to go on and do the business, but one I'm particularly liking in here, Palais Delice. I'm not 100% sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but we'll give it a good old bash anyway for Johnny Murta and Ben Cohen. Um, this one here is currently priced at around 12-1. I think it's definitely valued there at an each way price. Looking at the breeding, 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs definitely looks to be the key for this horse. It looks to be his ideal trip, or her ideal trip, should I say. Obviously, look at being a rib chester by Royal Grace, who was by Royal Applause then as well. Um, Definitely very, very interesting. She's a six-foal half sister to winners. Bisham Green, 5 furlong, 6 furlong, including 5% rating of 89. Kirkham, 7 furlongs, rating of 676. Dam, a 5 furlong winner, rated 63 out of a useful 5 furlong half sister to numerous winning sprinters, including the very useful all weather sprinter, the Derculus. I could be pronouncing that totally wrong, but look, at the bloodline definitely is there to suggest that this one here is definitely going to appreciate this sort of a trip. I think it's a 6 furlong on good ground. So look, realistically, it's definitely bred for this sort of trip. Plenty of speed in the bloodline. Obviously, look at Johnny Murta and Ben Cohen. The two of them are having a fairly decent start of the season so far. Obviously, Johnny is 4 from 16, going off a 25% strike rate. And Ben Cohen is 4 from 17, so going off a 24% strike rate. So realistically, you're back Johnny and Ben, the deadly duo. Every time they're paired up again, against one in every 4 races, you're going to get a winner statistically. But look, at realistically, I think it's going to be battling out for the places. But just the fact that Johnny Murta is in such good form, I think it's worth an each way punt. I think the short price favourite in here, there could be something out of the ordinary here among the newcomers, and potentially this Johnny Murta sort could be definitely the one to take on the short price favourite here. 2 o'clock. This one here is going to be the nap of the day. Cheer up, Sleepy Jean, for the stack team paired up with Jamie Spencer. Currently priced in around 11-4. This one here, like I said, is the nap of the day. realistically, it was a very, very impressive looking sword. I think was it the Curragh or Leopardstown? I think it was the Curragh. Curragh over 5 furlong on good ground. Was very, very lit up that particular day. It was very lit up. It was very, very hard to settle. The way the horse actually won the race impressed me most of all. We were all expecting the horse to really die off, but realistically, it just started picking up and picking up and picking up, and really galloped her way to the line. And she definitely looks to be a very, very nice sort. Um, Obviously, look at getting £5 from the Aidan O'Brien favourite here. It's going to be a nice little match between the two. I just think Jamie Spencer is definitely the man to have on this horse, simply because he's just so patient in terms of his riding style. I think it's going to look absolutely stunning seeing the two of them coming up the straight in the Curragh, especially with the way Jamie Spencer rides. He loves sitting pretty. He loves sitting pretty as long as he can. I think Cheer Up Sleepy Jean is definitely one you could be really, really patiently patient with. And I think realistically it could be a match made in heaven here. I think it's got an absolutely outstanding chance tomorrow. 11-4 is the best price. 235, realistically, this it should be a no bet race for me. But since I put this particular horse in one of the horses to follow for the season, I definitely think I it'd be rude not to put this horse into the selections. Broom at 4-5. Look, realistically, I think it's definitely one of the ones to be siding with more often than not this season. I think realistically, the fact that Ryan Moore chooses it here is definitely interesting. Although, look at Shamie Heffernan going for Joseph as well is another interesting sort. But well, probably not as much not so much interesting, simply because Aidan O'Brien only has one and Joseph only has one. So it's second nature really, and it should definitely be a very interesting contest. But look, I just think Broome has that little bit too much class, and definitely looks to have its career back on track again. 310, and this one here, actually, I made a slight mistake. I put up Cheer Up Sleepy Jean as the nap. It's actually the next best. This one here is the nap with Champers Elise at 15-8. Realistically, I think it's going to be a very, very hard horse to stop. Now, I know the weight it has to give away to potentially some very classy sorts is a little bit of a worry, but realistically, it's a Group 1 winner coming down and massively, massively in class. This one here it's a Group 3 over 7 furlongs. So look at it's coming down 2 classes. It put up a serious amount of victories, a serious string of victories there. I think it was last year. It was last year there. Just I suppose came undone in Newmarket on heavy ground, but realistically on any sort of ground, good to firm. I suppose you could say good to soft to heavy. It's the class above here, really. I can honestly say 15-8 looks to be an absolute steal of a price, although look at the weight it does have to give away. But realistically, I think it's going to be much too classy for this field, and I definitely think of any horse in the race and tomorrow that could give away that particular amount of weight, Champers Elise is definitely one that I would be siding with. 345, and this one here I will be going with another each way aspect on here. The favorite in here, Montego Bay, hasn't really set the world alight for me to really justify favoritism. I don't know. I just think it's potentially vulnerable, let's just say. Ones that I was looking at was likes of Ginsburg there at 8-1, New Emerald Bay, another interesting one there at 9-1. But the one that I'm really liking in here is Ken Condon's Let's. Currently priced at 12-1. I think it's got a great each way shout. Put in some very, very decent runs there, and last time out in listed company. It was just very, very interesting here. Just looking down through the handicap rating in here, it's coming in here off 9 stone 10. So that's putting it in here. No, it's not putting it in at top weight, but it's close enough to it. Just looking down here, who's riding it? Billy Lee is riding it. Billy's had a decent enough start to the season. He's put in some fairly decent performances, and even there on the all weather campaign there during the winter, like he had some very classy rides, and he put in a few classy performances there. I just think it's very interesting the fact that they're going away from. Wouldn't say they're going away from like the black type standard, but they're coming back down into handicap company now, which realistically would put the horse severely overweight, you could say, with the weight on his back. But potentially look at, they just feel like it's a drop down in class, and they feel like maybe the weight on his back won't be too much of a hindrance to it, compared to racing in more better company and off level weights. Now 420 is going to be my patron pick of the day for Curragh, so I'm not going to be covering it. 455. What are we on here? We're on the big price each way of the day. This one here is going to be going with the local horse for Philip Byrne and Sam Ewing. Sam is definitely a very interesting jockey book in here. Out on Friday, 33-1. Look at, it's a tall order. It's a very, very tough race to really nail down and really scream and shout about, you could say. But look at out on Friday, I don't know. I just think on this sort of ground, he has the potential to be absolutely lethal. Now, the draw out in 20, was he in? He's in 22 or 24. He's out in 24. But when you look down through the card, you have the likes of Jamie Powell claiming 7 on the favourite. Keane McRedmond claiming 4 on the second favourite. Scott McCullough is definitely interesting there, but he's drawn out in 17 as well. Dylan Brown McMonigal is definitely very, very interesting. A great young jockey coming through. Dean Curran claiming 4. Joey Sheridan, another great jockey as well. Paddy Harnett claiming 4, another decent jockey. Adam Farrer, another decent jockey claiming 2. Sean Bird, Caitlin Young, Ryan Sexton, Sean Cleary Farrell, Tom Kiley Marshall. And I think that's about it for the inexperienced riders. I have no clue. Jack Enright as well. I'm not 100% sure what he's like on the flat, but there's an awful lot of inexperienced jockeys in here that mightn't necessarily, with all due respect, they mightn't necessarily know the ins and outs of the job. Sam Ewing is a great head on young shoulders. He really knows the time of day. He's a great clock in his head. If there's a single chance that out on Friday has of upsetting the odds or coming in here with a very, very good chance, Sam Ewing is a definite serious jockey to have on board. I just think it's interesting. Look at sometimes when these trainers get the likes of Sam Ewing and arguably top riders in the game at the moment, is it's definitely very, very interesting. And look at 33-1. I'm not 100% sure. Probably will go up overnight. I don't know, but it might go down. And look at, I'm going to take the chance and just say, for instance, out on Friday is going to get among the places at 33-1. 525, and this one here is going to be another each way shout of the day. And it's a bit, I wouldn't say sentimental, but it's definitely one I'll be keeping a close eye on, simply because the sire of this particular horse means an awful lot to me. Zen Silence. for Kieran Cotter and Colin Keane. Currently priced in around 8-1. I think this sort of distance is definitely going to be very, very interesting for him. Dragon Pulse, very, very prolific sprinting sire. He throws out some very, very tough, dare I say, brawl like standard horses. They just dig in and they fight and they fight and they fight. This lad here has been running very, very credibly of late, especially there this season. Out of his 7 runs, he's come first once and second twice. Definitely very interesting in here. I think if emulating the form and the all-weather to the turf in the Curragh, I think he's got a great overall chance. And look at realistically, he's got some great breeding behind it. Look at Dragon Pulse, his runners to winners is definitely second to none, and I'll definitely be shouting this lad home, simply because the sire definitely is one that I'm keeping a very, very close eye on. Now, moving on then to Down Royal. Another interesting day. There's a couple of big price each ways in here, and they're going to be starting off at the very start. The first race off the 140, you've got Don Diablo coming in here at a short price favourite of 7-4. I think it's interesting. Obviously, look at Denise Foster, the Cullentry Yard. They always do well in Down Royal. Always do well. Like, realistically, if you're following the Cullentry Yard in Down Royal, it's you're nearly guaranteed that you're going to have a good day, simply because for whatever reason they just seem to get a new lease of life, even if they've been running fairly poorly. Do I think he's the right favorite? I don't think he is. I just think he's got a serious case of seconditis. Like, realistically, when you look down through the form, he was second in stolen behind Geraldo for Cullentry as well. I'm not 100% sure on Geraldo. I don't think that he was worth the money he is, but definitely was a nice enough performance that day in my local point to point. Now, second in Galway at 5-2, third of 14 in Clonmel, even money, third of 7 at 5-2 in Tipperary, second of 18 in Naas, and third of 13 in Tramore. So you have a list of seconds, a list of thirds. He's yet to get his head in front. And I know it is a maiden hurdle, so therefore he definitely has the most experience of the lot. But is he vulnerable? I think he is. Is there a horse in here that's going to go from the front and play a bit of catch me if you can? I think there is. This mare in here for Philip Rothwell, Layla's Daffodil, 14-1. I was very, very impressed with the run that she had on her first run in Downpatrick. She was caught I wouldn't say she was caught. She made a serious mistake. I think it was a 2 or 3 out when she pulled herself, and Neil Gault pulled the guts of 10 to 15 lengths clear. Now look at Stranger Danger, Jelly Blanche, Sam Lorenzo. They were the three that well, Sam Lorenzo went with her, but Jelly Blanche and Stranger Danger. Jelly Blanche has since come out and won in Tramore. Now, Punchestown didn't go her way that day, but Stranger Danger, in terms of form, has since come out and finished 7th of 18. Behind Surprise Package, It Could Be You, Jevre, History of Fashion, New Ross, Born Patriot, ahead of Fest Days, Caltor, Vintage Prosecco, Jelly Blanche again, I don't get it. And the rest of them didn't really turn up. But that was a fairly decent run that day. And I just think there's something about this Layla's Daffodil that people are looking over, and people are forgetting how good of potential that this mare showed in Downpatrick. I think if it runs to the same capabilities here, I think it's got a great overall chance. I think this track is going to be much more suited to her. And realistically, 14-1 looks to be overpriced, and she should definitely be well worth an each way in this sort of company. 215. A tricky one again. It looks wide open. There's an awful lot in here that look to be very, very interesting. But do you know what I'm going to do? There's a course winner and a distance winner in here. Now, the poor boy, he's 13 years old now at this stage, so we don't really know how much form he has left in him, but he's off a nice weight. He's dropped down to a mark of 80. Rossmore's Pride for Christian Del Crow and Jordan Canavan claiming £7. I think this one here is definitely very, very interesting. If this horse can show its previous form, especially with the mark that it's on now, I think it's definitely very, very interesting, considering when you look at its third in Kilbeggan and yielding ground last year when it was off a mark of 83. You take the Down Royal 7th of 20 off a mark of 82. Its last win was in Sedgefield in 2018 and soft ground off a mark of 98. So it's £18 unofficial rating lower than his last winning mark. Now, I know the form end of things, he's probably lost a little bit of his touch, but with Jordan Canavan claiming another £7, that makes him, just doing quick maths in my head, that makes him in around £24-25, technically well in. When you look at his last winning mark of 98 and he running off 80 with Jordan Canavan claiming a further £7. I just think it's interesting. Look at, if you want to have an each way bet, we know that the horse runs fairly credibly around here. We know he likes the course, he likes the distance, likes the ground conditions. I think it's just very, very interesting here. 250 then is another one of my patron picks of the day, so I won't be covering it. But the next race then, the 325, and this one here, I will be going with the Denise Foster trained with Jordan Gainford on board, claiming £7. Fancy Foundations is 7-4. We spoke about it earlier on. This Cullentrail yard always have great runners and winners in Down Royal. Now, what it is, I don't really know. But when you look at Fancy Foundation's form, put in some very, very decent runs. It was a winner in Downpatrick on his hurdle. Was it his hurdle debut? No, it pulled up on his hurdle debut, but on his next hurdle out and bet Captain Mac Electricity Work, Balella Storm, Rayleigh Flora, Scarlet Rebel and Yug. Now, next time out, it won in Hereford, beating High Polai. Great form overall. Honorary Conal. I can't pronounce that word. Conal. Presented with Wings, Rapid Flight, Glance from Clover, Fiddler's Track, Snow Pierce, Rainbow Storm, Gallant de Planche, Smarty Man Darcy, and Blood Eagle. In my opinion, that's definitely form to be siding with. I think overall, if he can show that sort of same form, he's definitely coming in here with a realistic chance. I think D Donk is definitely one to be keeping a close eye on. I think it's interesting here. He's in a beginner's chase, but like realistically, the form that he's put up has definitely shown to be definitely worthy of beating a field of this caliber. But I don't know. I just fancy Fancy Foundations here at a price of 7-4, and I just think he's very, very interesting here. 4 o'clock. The next best of the day, and I have always been and always will be a big, big fan of this particular horse. I think he's got a great overall future ahead of him, even though he has been running since 2017. But in terms of a chaser and in terms of a consistent horse, you can't look too far wrong than Ben Rubin in here for Henry de Bromhead and Dylan Robinson claiming £3. I think this horse has a lot to like about. When you look at it being identically weighted with Gulan Chosen off a mark of 136, but Dylan Robinson claiming £3. Off that, I think that's definitely key here. He hasn't necessarily been in the greatest of form. Now, I just think it's very, very interesting. I think the good ground is definitely what he needs. When you look at his form on good ground or yielding ground, win in Roscommon last time out off at 5-2. Win in Killarney the time before that off a price of 7-1. Fourth of 14 in Tipperary. He fell in Thurles. I think he was going on to win that particular day. Going best to lead narrowly when fell were at the last where when fell. So on good ground, this horse is very, very hard to beat. Realistically, I think if you're looking to try and take him on, you can't really look past the favorite. I think he's got a great overall chance. Datsy is an interesting one in here. Likes to save his best for good ground. I think Datsy is interesting in here. Obviously, look at I'm like a broken record talking about the Cullentra yard with the down royal form, but look at it is what it is. They absolutely love it up the north, and realistically, I think it's got a very, very interesting chance. Now, 4:35, the nap of the day for me. Vossalet. I'm not 100% sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Vossalet. He's number 9 on the card in the 4:35. I think he's definitely the nap-worthy contender here. Obviously, look at Neil McKnight with Mr. JC Barry. I'm not 100% sure what your first name is, but I'm just going to call you by what the racing post have you here as. Vossalet, though, David Christie, Ben Harvey. It's a very interesting combination. Obviously, look at Ben. He'd usually be riding for the likes of John McConnell. I thought John McConnell had, it's a long, long road in this. Maybe it was the time before. It was the race before that. Okay, so that makes it interesting then, or makes it more reasonable or realistic, or whatever way you want to talk about it. But I just think it's interesting. Usually, I know Christie would usually have Rob James on. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's still serving his suspension. I'm nearly sure he is. Vossalet with Ben Harvey on board. I just think it's very interesting. He was second last time out behind Bray Hill, who was touted to be a fairly talented sort. But the ones that I'm looking at in here, the form of his debut behind the likes of Tiger Tap, Home by the Lee, Ashdale Bob, Jazzaway, all of those have been very, very prolific winners since. They've all put up some very, very decent form. Brayside, obviously, she went on to. No, she didn't go on to win in Cheltenham. I'm thinking of a different horse completely there. But who was in that race as well? Eden Flight, Bold Assassin. Ashdale Bob was behind. Ashdale Bob has since come back and really set the world alight, you could say. Nothing else really in there that's worth shouting about, but obviously look at David Christie's form of 2 from 5. Making a 40% strike rate over the past couple of weeks is definitely very, very interesting. And then finally, then the last race of the day, and this one here, I will be personally siding with the massive gamble with Ballycoos at 5-2. For the Stuart Crawford team and Declan Lavery claiming 3. I think it's just interesting. When you look at the breeding, Mahler by High Presentable, a presenting mare. Third foal, Damon Race, half sister to winners of Oka Promise, Point Blank, and is out of an unraced half sister to champion hurdlers Morley Street and Granville again. So and it was bred by Kenneth Parker as well, who is renowned for breeding absolute superstars. All you have to do is look at Neverfield Blue in Kilbeggan, I think, and Bob Ollinger as well. Look at Bob Ollinger, what he has done and thrown out in terms of foals for the racing game, for the Irish racing game, is definitely very, very interesting, and it should be definitely noted here. The fact that the Crawford team, they're relatively local. There's with a gamble of 6-1 into 5-2 is definitely very, very interesting. But look at, I'm going to leave it up to yourselves. Look at, that's all I have for tomorrow. Look at, if you're going to be having a bet, the very best of luck. What I would be suggesting, probably stick with my National Hunt game, the flat game. I'm still sort of getting used to it with the new season and all that. But look, it's only there for fun. If you want to follow me, follow me. If you don't, it's up to yourself as well. If you want to sign up to the Patreon, now is the perfect time to do it. Basically, what it is €10 a month. I'll leave a link in the description below. What that will get you is daily tips from myself and Ryan Sharkey, two of us doing the Irish Race an Hour podcast, which is up every week on YouTube. Basically, what it will get you as well is we have a monthly giveaway, which this month is a share in a racehorse. We'll be giving that away on the 7th of May now. So if you're going to be signing up for that, I would suggest get on board fairly lively and get on board to get your name in the hat and be in with a chance to win. But that's basically it. Like I said, €10 a month. You can't really find much better value than us. We had an absolutely unbelievable April. It was definitely, in terms of my own personal performance for them, it was definitely one of the best. I put up a couple of runs, six winners in a row, all over even money. Another one then I put up, I think 3 or 4 in a row then earlier on in the month as well. But like realistically, it's for the sake of €10 a month, you can't really go wrong with us. It's a small payment, helps us fund the podcast. Basically, it's getting us off the ground and getting us where we need to be. And with your support, we do repay back. We've given away close to €500 worth of prizes now. Back to the members that have been so very good to us and everything else like that. So look, I'll leave it there. If you want to sign up, I would be suggesting to get on board fairly lively, as it is an automatic payment at the start of every month. So just to get your own value for money and to get your name into the hat as well is definitely would be advisable to get on board fairly lively now. But look, I'm going to leave it there. Very, very best of luck tomorrow. Hopefully we're on the back of plenty of winners, and hopefully we shake this bad run off us. Very, very best of luck tomorrow, folks. Hopefully we're on the back of plenty of winners.